For those of you who are regular followers of the show, you heard what happened yesterday on this program. It happens every 5-10 years. You get a call like that. A man who claimed to be a psychic called in, and he said certain things that you cannot believe. Maybe we'll play a little bit of it later, but maybe we won't. What I want to talk about today is this. Let's say you're a religious person for the moment. You're Christian or you're Jewish, but you also believe in other spiritual sources for insights and wisdom. Do you? Don't tell me you don't, because some of you do. You believe in God. You're a practitioner of Christianity or of Judaism, but you consult from time to time, what, astrologers? You say, oh, no, you can't do that. Deuteronomy, Old Testament, 18:9-12, as in God, faith, and reason says, when you come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not learn to follow the abominable practices of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering. Okay. Anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer or a charmer, or a medium or a necromancer, or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord your God is driving them out before you. Leviticus says, do not turn to mediums or necromancers. Do not seek them out, and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Jesus, in the Christian religion, John 4:1 says, Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. Now, that's an interesting one, the Christian interpretation. It says, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. They don't say categorically deny all the other spirits. Now, those of you who have followed my show over the years knows that there are many, many aspects to the Steppenwolf host. I've walked on many plains and many plateaus through many phases of my life, whether it was collecting plants in the most remote islands of the world, seeking medicinal cures, or whatever I was done walking the streets of San Francisco, talking to strangers. I've always sought out individuals because I thought that many people have magic in them. Not everyone, but some do. And I found magic in many people. And I've told you the strange things have happened to me in my life, such as, well, I'll make a simple story out of it. Fiji, collecting plants, 1972, 73, 74, long before Fiji water. I was there collecting medicinal plants, sitting in villages, drinking Yangona, which you know is Kava Kava, and asking their folk secrets, collecting medicinal plants, and the collections are in 7 herbaria around the world, including Moscow, by the way. One of my superb plant collections is in Moscow. I guess you could say I was a long spy for Russia. I didn't know it, of course, but I mean, if Hillary Clinton or one of the left-wing fanatics wins, they're liable to say, did you collect medicinal plants in Fiji in the 70s and send them? Did you send a collection of your plants to the herbarium in Moscow? Well, of course I did. I sent it to 7 principal herbaria. Well, you were spying on us, weren't you? That's what you want in this country. That's what you're going to get. But let's put that aside. But I did encounter spirits because I talked to folk healers in Fiji who could see the future. Now, I was told they did. I didn't believe them. Now, I remember one trip in 1973 in particular. A young man accompanied me, who will remain anonymous, who was a photographer, and a damn good one. And he was a very bold, daring young man. He feared nothing, but he was a good photographer. I said, why don't you come with me so I can put down my Nikon and just focus on the plants? Okay, so we arrive on one of the Yasawa Islands. I almost said Yangona Islands. We arrived on one of the Yasawa Islands, which is off the Nandi coast. Went out by one of the packets that trades back and forth. Very romantic sounding, and it was actually very romantically beautiful. He steps on the beach, barefoot he goes. He was not cautious. He had no fear. He was excited by the whole trip. He was sort of like a Lord Jim type out of a Conrad novel. Fearless, pirate-like. Within 3 minutes, he says to me he's not feeling well. His foot hurts. He stepped on something on the beach. Within 5 minutes, he couldn't walk. Within 10 minutes, we had to carry him back to the boat. Luckily, I had antibiotics with me, because I always carry antibiotics, powerful ones with me on those trips, and gave them to him. It turns out that he had stepped on a poisonous coral that is right under the sand. Now, he was a poet. He said, I stepped on a ghost who bit me. Now, they buried their dead there in the sand near the shore. I don't know if you know that. They're islands. Now, what does it have to do with divination? Well, here's what it has to do with divination. The day before we went on that boat and landed on the Asawa Islands, I went and saw a card reader in Fiji because I did it every time before a trip. I wanted to see what she would say. It was just a tradition. The Fijians are very strong believers in witchcraft, if you want to put it that way. I mean, they have lived in those islands for, 100,000 years before white man came? They kind of know how to live off the land. It's not like naked and afraid. They're naked and not afraid. They built the whole civilization in those islands. They don't sit and cry about the rain coming down. So they built the whole civilization, but part of their civilization is their material culture, part of it's a physical culture, part of it's a spiritual culture, as anthropologists understand. And so part of their culture was believing in spirits. So what does that have to do with you listening to me on this rainy day in San Francisco or around America? After all, I'm not talking about Hillary Clinton. You're not hearing about Uranium One. You're not hearing about Bill Clinton selling us out to the Chinese, selling all of our rare metals and the manufacturing ability to the Chinese. You're not hearing about his ex-Secretary of Defense, William Cohen, who is acting as a traitor right now, working deals in China, along with Madeline Halfbright and so many others who sold us down the river, which is why, of course, America First is so important. But I'll get to that later. You're hearing about spirits, is what you're hearing. And so, therefore, listen to me quickly. Listen to me carefully, please. I want you to listen to me. It's very important as we get to this. You'll see how it ties into politics in a minute. I go to the card reader with this young guy. She throws the cards and she says to me, Michael, your trip will go well. You'll collect a lot of plants. Then she looked at him very shyly. She wouldn't say anything. And she looked at me and I said, what's the matter? Now, the Fijians are very polite people. They're not like us. They're not bold and daring and outspoken. They're tough people, but they're not like that. So I had to draw her out, and she said quietly and hesitatingly, she said, I'm afraid that he will be injured in the islands. He will become crippled and almost die. Well, he laughed. Next day, steps on the sand, punctures the foot, becomes crippled, saved by the antibiotics. So you say coincidence or the ability to read the future? I'll let you decide. Now, having said that, yesterday a psychic called a show. And I'm asking you, let's say you are a religious Christian, but occasionally you read a horoscope or you go to a medium. Don't tell me you don't, because I know many of you do. But many of you say, no, the Bible says you can't do that. Well, for those of you who are rigid, one-dimensional conservatives, and you're in the radio business, and all you can do is talk about Ronald Reagan or the Constitution or the Bill of Rights as though you wrote them, and you say this is a bunch of garbage, this is Berkeley hippie crap, I don't do that stuff. I don't do that stuff. That's not for us. We're real conservatives. We kill elephants. We slaughter horses. We smoke cigarettes. And we don't believe in that stuff. We don't even go to church, but we make believe we do. And we're all so rich now because the rubes believe us. Take a guess which presidents consulted psychics. Well, you may not know it, but throughout U.S. history, many of its presidents have been a loyal follower of psychic readings. They've consulted mediums in times of great distress, personally, politically, and then they made decisions based upon their consultations. Who are these presidents? Why, they're some crackpots from Berkeley. No. President Washington knew of the birth, development, and the future of the United States from the apparition he had seen of a mysterious woman who told Washington about the United States and its journey in the global world. George Washington revealed this in 1778. Abraham Lincoln, a rationalist, correct? Lincoln was perhaps the most active participant and follower of psychic visions. In psychic realms, he used to partake in diverse realms and see visions as well. It is believed that President Lincoln experienced a vision in which he saw his own assassination. Franklin Delano Roosevelt took guidance from psychic readings regarding political matters both before and during World War II and after World War II. His psychic reading guidance were usually focused on international relations. Ronald Reagan, the great Ronald Reagan, wouldn't do that, would he? Well, he and his wife Nancy were strong believers in psychic readings. His presidential term of 8 years was filled with political scandals and assassination attempts. And people in the field believe that President Reagan survived all the scandals with the help of a psychic named Joan Quigley, whom Nancy Reagan used to consult on a daily basis. The evidence for this is a White House aide during President Reagan's tenure. Aide says that every major decision and move was first consulted, quote, in advance with a woman in San Francisco. Wow. President Wilson used to consult psychic mediums regularly to know about predictions of his death. Well, it's interesting to me that we haven't had a president who consults mediums that we know of since Reagan, and the country's gone downhill since then. I mean, maybe if we can get President Trump to consult a medium, maybe he could foresee what's coming and do the right thing for everyone as he's trying to do. But he's sort of poking around in the dark. He's going here, he's going there, he's trying this, he's trying that. People are ridiculing him, trying to destroy him. Maybe you should see a medium who can tell him who Robert Mueller really is, what spirit Mueller really embodies. But I'm not here to advise the president. I'm here to talk with you today on the Savage Nation about God, faith, and reason, and about psychics. Do you believe in God yet still believe in other spiritual sources for wisdom? You say, well, what does that have to do? Come on, man, give us the politics, will you please? We're not interested in this stuff. I'm going to take a chance and say you are interested in this stuff. You know why? Because I'm interested in it. And there's a primary rule in talk radio that has not changed from the day I began a quarter of a century ago. You want to hear it? If the host is interested in a topic, so will the audience be. If the host is faking it and calling it in, the audience will just turn that show off. They don't care how interesting you try to make yourself sound. We've got a stack of things we'll never get to. We've got a busy day here. No. That's a front. I didn't say we have a busy day here. I didn't tell you I have a stack of stuff here. All I did was tell you what I'm thinking about. And then I'll tell you about my dreams last night, since the psychic who was on the show yesterday said that your life will start changing tonight as you dream because I've already affected your subconscious. Did he? He says in 30 days your life's going to change totally. You see, I called him after the show. He said, Michael, I'm not going to tell you anymore. Well, I said, get specific. I'm a cynic. I'm a New Yorker. I don't believe everything I hear, okay? Number one. Number two, I don't call listeners, but I'm calling you. So let's get a little more specific here. And he did. And I'll tell you maybe. I won't tell you when I come back on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Everywhere you look, experts are predicting a market crash. What would a market crash do to your future? Your IRA, your 401k. Imagine no more happy returns, dividend checks, or savings cushion. In spite of major warning signs all around, crashes happen suddenly. I've been warning you about the risks to your savings. I've told you there's a secret war raging against you and your money. Will you please listen to me and take action? I'm telling you to take action now. Do it right now. Savage says be wise. Call Swiss America at 800-289-2646. Write it down. 800-289-2646. You're going to get a free secret war report. I want you to protect your hard-earned money before it is too late. Simply call 800-289-2646. You can thank me later, but call 800-289-2646 for the free booklet now. Do you have trouble sleeping like most people do? I'm here to change your sleeping patterns forever. I, myself, have never slept better since I started using MyPillow. I would toss and turn all night and never feel fully rested, but that's all changed once I discovered MyPillow the way I like it. MyPillow uses a patented technology that morphs perfectly to the type of sleeper you are. You create the pillow that's right for you, right on their own website. It's amazing, and of course it's all manufactured right here in the United States and comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and the best part is you get a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. I want you to go to MyPillow.com or call 800-768-0898, promo code SAVAGE. Take advantage of my special 4-pack deal. Buy 2 premium MyPillows, and you're going to get 2 Go Anywhere pillows for free. Rush to MyPillow.com or call 800-768-0898, promo code SAVAGE, to take advantage of my special 4-pack deal. You know, when I started the show today, normally I make a prayer to God. I didn't make a prayer to God. I yelled out to God. Ask the guys that are watching me on Skype. I yelled out, "Thank you, God, for giving me this day." Giving me this day. It's unbelievable. It's fabulous. So if you don't want to go down this road, I can do the normal, talk radio fare, which is 1.5 men, if you'd like me to do that. I'd rather do a full man rather than a half a man today. There are other topics. So let me direct you to some fun things. Go to michaelsavage.com as usual for this video. Savage comes full circle. An immigrant son returns to Ellis Island. I don't know why I thought about that this morning when I got up at dawn. In 2014, I was on a boat off the Hudson River that had docked there, and I put on a party for people from the publishing world and the radio world at Cumulus. It was a beautiful cocktail party, and I was drinking a little bit. I had only one drink, and I was asked to give a small speech, so I gave a small speech. And as I was staring at Ellis Island, I was so inspired to realize I am an immigrant's son, and that my son is an immigrant's grandson, and how far we came as a family through incredibly hard work, despite enormous impediments. And this is the American dream. I am actually the American dream. And this is why the left hates me, is because I'm an example of what you can do if you work hard and honestly. No matter what impediments are put in your way, you can overcome them. Now, I don't want to sit here and play a violin for you. I'm just telling you. And I don't want to lead it right back to politics right now. I could do it, but I'm not ready for that jump cut. 855-400-7282. Let's take a quick caller. Boy, the time is just speeding. ABC, Mark, line 3. What do you got to say, Mark?
Yes, Michael. God bless Richard for speaking with you. Maybe this will help. I've been listening to you. I'm doing work now. I don't want you to burn yourself out. You get frustrated dealing with the public. The public is the public. It's wonderful. We are talking about something that's going to happen. What your vision is, Michael, is it's not going to be nations eventually. We have to protect the nation, obviously. We cannot dumb down this nation. We cannot make it into a more deficit, and take care of the world. We have to mind our own business. Your concepts are right on. Thank God he's in power. He can change it, hopefully a little. Hopefully he's in there for another 4 years. But your work, you are on a different level. You know, very, 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 very few people. We understand you, your honesty, your brilliance. You've got a scientific mind. That's the only kind of mind that took us out of caves, and here we are. And
I love that. That's true.
Well,
right, and Robert De Niro is still living in a cave. Robert De Niro has the nerve to say, I'm not interested in Trump supporters and what they have to think. If that's not an example of stupidity and prejudice, what is? Stay on the line.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE.
I'll bet you don't spend much time thinking about your circulation, but you really should. You know why? Because good circulation is crucial to energy and stamina. You see, it gets oxygen and nutrients flowing throughout your body, so you can exercise longer, do more everyday activities, and recover more quickly. So what can you do to promote healthy circulation? You can drink Super Beets. Super Beets promotes the body's own natural ability to produce healthier circulation for increased energy and stamina all day long. Only Super Beets is made from beets grown to exacting standards. That's important. They are then concentrated into superfood crystals. So to improve your circulation, all you got to do is call 800-481-0504, 800-481-0504, or go to SavageLovesBeets.com. Listen to this. With your first order, you're going to get another 30-day supply of Super Beets for free, plus indicator strips to see how Super Beets is working for you, and free shipping. You can't beat the deal. Call 800-481-0504 or SavageLovesBeets.com. You know, most of our English words have roots in other languages, in Latin, in Greek. And so when you bring in foreign tongues into this country, they don't even think the way we do. They have no concept of what we're thinking or what we're doing. Even the word theology, when you think about it, which is the study of God and religion, Where does it come from? Well, it's the word theos. Then you add the Greek root logos, knowledge, study, or word. And so all of our words are based upon Western civilization. Then you get the psychotics on the campuses who are trying to rip out Western civilization by the roots because they never belonged there to begin with. To me, there should be a litmus test of whether you're even capable of studying before they let you in. And I mean, I got to tell you right now, civilization is going to collapse unless we stand up to the psychos. But that's a separate story for another day. And this goes right back to immigration. You cannot absorb unlimited numbers of people who are foreign to your way of life, to your thinking, and to your language. And unless they're willing to assimilate, you can't have them in the country. It's as simple as that. No society can survive it. They never have. It becomes an invasion. And that's why I put up the video today, Savage Comes Full Circle, an immigrant's son returns to Ellis Island. Because my grandfather was an immigrant who didn't speak English, but he wanted to become an American. He wanted to assimilate. One of my prized possessions of all the things I own is a tiny little business card that I found in my father's wallet after my father died. It was given to me by my uncle, the wallet, and in it was a little card, and on it was written in bad English, my name is, where I live, and my telephone number, and my son's name is. It was so touching to me to see that my grandfather didn't speak any English, and he carried this card around him on the streets of New York in case he got lost, or in case the police stopped him for any reason, so he could show them the card and talk to them. How far we've come, that a man who couldn't speak the language has a grandson who's a world-famous broadcaster and writer. Only in America. Only in America could a thing like this happen. And it could still happen. It can still happen, no matter who you are, if you put your mind to it. Now, let's go back to a caller here. It's one of those days I can feel it again. I mean, I feel the power running through me. It's one of the days where I could be on the air for 7 straight hours. I could do a Fidel Castro. I could speak till midnight tonight without pause. I don't even need a cigar. I don't need anything. Maybe a coffee in 3 hours. I just feel the energy flowing through me. I don't know how, why. I just feel good about this. I know that it was the beginning of something new. I know that God sent that caller to me to re-inspire me to stay on this path, to stay on this track, to stay on the radio, to communicate with my audience, because we're part of something very big here. And we'll talk about that in another time. Mark on WABC, welcome back. Can please finish what you were saying?
Thank you, Michael. Yes, basically, if you're going to continue on radio, because I know you spoke to Richard at length after the program, and it's the first time I got the last hour because I streamed it on the computer because of Richard, and I finally found it. Otherwise, I've only been 2 hours with you. Michael, do not get frustrated. First of all, you have the power of that radio. Okay, well, I don't know how many million, 10 million, it should be 6 billion. We have to speak one language eventually. That's definite, but we cannot take countries and mix them. We have to let them do their own thing as long as they're not murdering their own people. We cannot do anything about it. They have to do something about it.
What you're saying is let's not involve ourselves in foreign wars anymore. Isn't that what you're saying?
A perfect example out of this nation, which was born between oceans in the Industrial Revolution with friends on top and the bottom, north and south. We were insulated. We have a great thing going. Of course, money is taken over, and sham and cant and the nonsense on TV and the dumbing down. We have to get a world population that has an IQ elevated.
Well, that's a whole story for another day. I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is you need literate people on the radio who can raise up the knowledge base of the people. Isn't that what you're saying?
Mike, you know that. Everybody knows that. But I hope you don't get...
Well, this is like being a teacher. This is nothing different than being a teacher in a classroom. The difference is instead of standing there with chalk, with 100 kids in the classroom or 300, it's in the millions. So it's the same thing at the end of the day.
Well,
and I love you as an audience. That's all I can say about that. Now let's go to Claudia in New York on WABC. I don't know any of these callers. Claudia, what's on your mind?
Dr. Savage, I also have psychic ability, and I have all my life. I have dreamt of you the past couple of weeks, and the day that President Trump signed the budget, I never heard you so disillusioned and so angry. It was almost as if your heart is broken. I can see you staying on the radio, but I could also see you being an investigative journalist, many times I've heard you say, "Oh, I wish somebody would look into Maxine Waters and the dirty dealings. I wish," because we don't have those reports anymore. I could see you doing special segments on TV, even if it's every 6 months, something you've done.
That's interesting. So that's what people may be seeing coming in 2019. Actual investigative journalism. That would be interesting.
I dreamt it. I saw you. I turned the TV on.
Well, someone ought to go to Maxine Waters and ask her about those loans, if they've ever been paid back. They could find her. After all, she screams every other day about impeach Donald Trump because the best defense is a good offense. All right, so you have a vision of that. Who knows what's going to be? I don't know. Do we really know? You know, you can only... I've always believed you can direct your life to a certain extent. I don't believe that I'm merely a leaf in a stream. I once had... When I was a young guy, we all had friends, and we all used to talk about the future and about what we were going to do and how we saw life. I never forget, one of my friends said he sees life as though we are nothing but a leaf in a stream. This was back in the 60s, and everyone was searching for the road, the path, the way, right? So he said, we're nothing but a leaf in a stream. I disagreed with him. And his life never went where it could have gone, because I think he became too passive. It doesn't mean he's a bad guy or he's stupid. But I never saw myself as a leaf in a stream, and I'll tell you right now, I don't know why. I'm just going to keep on rapping, man. It's like a radio show is basically a rap thing when you think about it. It's just a different level of it. I was in France. I remember distinctly I had enrolled in a college. I was thinking of living there and going to college there. I never told you about this phase. And all I had was high school and college French. And I remember it was in Montpellier, University of Montpellier. And I was in France. And I had visions in the cafeteria. I'm sitting in this cafeteria. There must have been hundreds and hundreds of people. Everyone speaking as loudly as they could in French. I didn't understand a word of what they were saying. Not only because I didn't know French that well, but because the din of the sound overwhelmed me. And I thought to myself, I'm different than all of them. I know this is egotistical and maniacal, actually, to think like that. But I said, I have a different route, a different calling. I just know it. I can feel it. They don't know me. I don't know them. But why do I feel separate from them? Well, the answer is, one day I came to understand that everyone in there who looked around that cafeteria would think that they were separate from the others in the cafeteria. Isn't that right, Clint? If you're in a crowd and you look at the crowd, you say, I'm different than them. I'm not part of the crowd. But then you realize one day that everyone in that crowd looks at the crowd and says, I'm not like them. I'm separate from that crowd. Now, psychologically and spiritually, that's a very interesting observation to me. And you can go very far with it. Now, let's say you're walking down the street of Manhattan, New York, whatever, San Francisco. You don't say to yourself, I'm like the other people here. I'm different. I'm separate from them. I'm not part of them, right or wrong? So where do men feel, or where do people feel, part of the whole of the people around them? Oh, that's interesting. Tribal situations, in prayer services, Jewish people, Christian people, Muslim people, Buddhist people, they all chant when they pray, don't they? Doesn't that make them part of a whole? Doesn't that make them part of a community? Isn't that the whole appeal of religion in many cases, where you cease being that isolated atom seeking to belong to something? So you hear the chant and you join the chant. And then suddenly the harmonium of the chant brings you into the group and you become part of the group. What does that have to do with anything? America used to be a country that, despite the fact that there were people from every walk of life and every ethnic background that you could imagine, there was a cohesiveness to this nation that drew people together. We all knew that we had common enemies. And we all knew that there were people within our own nation who were enemies of us. And they were hunted down. They were called subversives. And we thanked the government and we thanked the police for seeking out these subversives and preventing them from selling us out and killing us. And now it's reached a point where there's a wholesale division of subversion in the media, where they literally glorify their subversion. They revel in their subversion. I don't mean attacking Trump, don't get me wrong. You can disagree with him, you cannot like him. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a Jeff Zucker, to me, a straight-out subversive. Any man who spends all of his days bringing down the presidency based on nothing but hatred and ratings is a subversive by any definition. Especially when there were true subversives and are true subversives, and I will give you a distinct example if you want me to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. I'll give you a sting job right now. There was an article I saw this morning on Drudge, which I linked on my Twitter. I guess I actually read some of these articles, and it says, magazine says China can win in one move if we get into this trade war with them. And it was written by Jeff Spross in The Week. But the message is actually different than China can win in one move. It was about how we could win in one move. And it was about how the fact that there are rare earth elements, dysprosium, neodymium, gadolinium, ytterbium, that are sort of rare earths. They play crucial roles in smartphones, electric car motors, hard drives, wind turbines, military radar, smart bombs, laser guidance, and more. And they're difficult to mine and process. And we're dependent almost entirely upon China for them. How did that happen? Bill Clinton permitted China to buy the companies that created these minerals. It was called MagnaQuench, an American company that emerged out of General Motors in the 1980s, which specialized in the magnets that account for most of the final components created from rare earth metals. And guess what happened? In 1995, under Bill Clinton, MagnaQuench was bought out by a consortium that included two Chinese firms, which took over 62% majority share in the company. And then the Chinese bought a big rare earth magnet plant in Indiana. And eventually MagnaQuench's manufacturing capacities were moved to China, and the Indiana plant was shut down. Bill Clinton. If this is not treason, tell me what is. Have you seen one investigative report on this? Have you seen any of the phonies in the media talk about it? Have you seen anyone demand a special prosecutor for Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton? This is only one example. They're one after the other. All you hear about is collusion with Russia, which has turned out to be nothing. A false faker. A faker from the beginning. But this is real. There was a company, MagnaQuench, moved to China. And it was done because Bill Clinton permitted the takeover. CFIUS approved the initial takeover of MagnaQuench in 95 under the Clinton administration, as well as letting the Indiana plant to shut down under the Bush administration. So the government did this. Did you hear this? You never heard about it, right? Well, you heard about it now. But now we go on. What can we do about it? China's going to hold us over a barrel? No. No. Because we have rare earth metals in the United States to this day. But it's very difficult now to mine them. But Trump, with an executive order, could step in. He could nationalize it through direct industrial policy. Are you listening to me? And we could have our own domestic supply of rare earth metals again and be free of China's hold over us. I'll be right back. Well, here we go again. Another major data breach. This time it's Orbitz, the popular travel booking platform. You heard of them. Well, they just announced the breach may have compromised 880,000 customers. Hackers access credit card numbers used to book travel through the platform's website in 2016 and 2017. The hackers may have also stolen names, dates of birth, gender, phone numbers, and addresses. Do you hear this? There are so many threats in today's connected world, and it just takes one weak link for criminals to get in. Well, it's a good thing that new LifeLock identity theft protection adds the power of Norton Security, which I happen to have, by the way, to help protect you against threats to your identity and your devices that you can't easily see or fix on your own. Listen, if you have a problem, they have agents who will work to fix it. No one can stop every cyber threat, prevent all identity theft, or monitor transactions at all businesses. But new LifeLock with Norton Security is able to uncover threats you might otherwise miss. So please go to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock. Use code SAVAGE for an additional 10% off your first year. That's 1-800-LifeLock. No, it isn't that. It's LifeLock.com, promo code SAVAGE, for 10% off. Now, before I move on to your calls, I told you about Bill Clinton permitting the sale of rare earth mines and the companies that mined them to China in the 90s. To me, it's treason. Do you know that he had a Secretary of Defense, William Cohen, the last I checked, was still a lobbyist working for China? Did you know the last I checked, Madeleine Albright, that big mouth brisket maker, is also a lobbyist for China, the last I checked? Do you know how many government officials under Clinton were actually secret agents of China? You don't, do you? Because you've been busy looking at Donald Trump. Now, this issue of rare earth deposits, I learned in this great article from the week linked up on michaelsavage.com. You must read it. We have plenty of them here in this country, but we don't have the industry to mine the minerals and make them into the final components for all of our electronics. Did you know that for a while there was a Colorado-based company called Molycorp that was mining rare earths at Mountain Pass, but it couldn't make a profit? Eventually it went bankrupt. Guess what happened? In the middle of last year, during a bankruptcy proceeding, the mine was sold to another China-involved consortium. The Chinese partner in the consortium, Shenghe, will have exclusive sales rights to the mine product for a period of time. Did you hear what I just said? Donald Trump has the power to move in under national security, seize the mine, build the plants back up in Indiana or wherever, and get free of these Chinese devils who are taking us to the cleaners and lining us up for complete domination. Make no mistake about it, they have been at war with us for a long time. Well, right now they only have one aircraft carrier. The last I checked, we had 8. Strike while the iron is hot, or we'll be struck while we're cold.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.